Well, this is gonna suck. I brought this and this, thinking this was my dry box with all my electronics, my wallet, my backup GoPro batteries and all that stuff. And this is my fly fishing box, which I did need, but I need that other box more because it's got all my stuff in it. And I grabbed this, which is my headlamp, which I thought was my head GoPro. So I don't have my GoPro with the microphone. So today you are going to get the muted version because this is the one from my handheld set. So at least I have that. I just took it out of the case for this intro. Today was going to be a video about locations and which coinciding bait to use for those certain spots. But today is just going to be a fishing video with no audio. So that's what you get. Well, since I got this out, I might as well cover the most important things. One important tip, because of just what I did, is I keep a copy of my fishing license in my car's glove box. So in instances like this where I might forget that dry box, which has my license, driver's license, my cell phone, which has my license on it as well, I at least have a backup so I can at least go fishing since I made it all the way out here and my stuff's unloaded. So this is paying off tons, so at least I'm getting to go out. Next, as you can see there, I got the fly rod out, and that's because we should be expecting the Palolo Worm hatch anytime. And that's basically when these little coral worms release themselves, go out an outgoing current out to the reef and spawn and do whatever they do. So I picked up a 7-pack of Palolo worms. I got them 7 for $20 off of eBay. I contacted the guy that was just selling individuals and asked him if he'd give me a deal for a bulk buy. So we negotiated down to 20 bucks for 7 of them shipped. So those 7 should catch me, I'll catch my 4 tarpon per year on a fly and I'll be good, and maybe have a couple left over for next year. So last year it started on the 28th and the year before the 30th of May. So we bypassed both of those days. So we're already into June. So expecting it any time. Just these little itty bitty worms that corkscrew around and shoot all over the place. And the tarpon go crazy for those. So I want to keep an eye out on them. And if they start popping up, I've got the fly rod. So every time I come out here now, I'm going to carry that fly rod just in case. But otherwise, now let's go try to do something in mute. Well, I didn't take a lot of footage today. It was just a matter of trying to film while you're fly fishing with this handheld. It's just not very functional, so I just said, screw it. However, I did want to post this video because it's going to serve its purpose as a good timestamp for the first day of the Palolo Worm hatch. So next year I'll know to kind of keep an eye on it around this time frame. So I think the last 3 years, it's all happened within that one week time frame, the end of May, 1st of June. I mean, all within like 4 days, 3 years in a row. So they're pretty consistent. So that's a good thing. And as long as the winds and the tide and the moon are all coincide like the same every year, then it's going to go off. The worms were there in full force, similar as the prior years, just worms jetting all over the place. The tarpon, however, just weren't there. I was kind of thinking that because the prior 2 days, which was 2 days just after the storms finally subsided and the wind started coming down, which blew out the tarpon, just sent them packing. They don't like that high winds, choppy water, zero visibility because it gets muddied up, and they're there to feed, so there's no reason to be there. So they take off for deeper water or cleaner water or start heading up north. So I figured it was going to be kind of iffy because it was just like 2 days since the storm that hatch took place, and it was what it was. What tarpon were there were eating those Palolo worms. It's just there wasn't very many of them, and I didn't really get very many shots at it. There was some rolling here or there. You knew that they were actually rolling, and they were actually going after that Palolo worms because they're doing that real lazy kind of slow roll. It's even slower than when they're gulping for air. Some people say those worms get them kind of high or stoned, but it is a very lackadaisical kind of just gulp. But just not a lot of activity, but no worries because it's a month-long phenomena. I mean, there's probably heavier days and it's not every day, but it'll happen every couple of days. So I'll get my shots later on. If I remember right, last year, I think it was with about a week within it before I actually started hooking up on the fly with the Palolo worm flies. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm actually going to take the next 2 days off and head out to the reef and then maybe a offshore run. I need to break in the brand new motor. So that's primarily what I'll be focusing on. And I have to test all my reef and offshore gear because I haven't utilized them in months. So as long as tomorrow's run out to the reef works out good, then I'll go out and do an offshore run on Sunday. That should kind of take care of the weekend, and then on Monday I'll go back and take a look at those Palolo worms and the tarpon again with a lot less people out there because I think it'll be pretty packed out there this weekend with the winds laying down to almost nothing, the Palolo worm hatch, and just the amount of tarpon fishermen that are down here in general. So anyways, that's just a quick video, just mainly for me, for that time date stamp. Even if you're not a big tarpon fisherman, it is a pretty cool once a year phenomena just in the Keys, that Palolo worm hatch, going out and seeing all these just tarpon rolling all over the place. If you are a tarpon fisherman, just give it a try. Take a look at that worm. It's just a tiny worm. If you have a fly fisherman, it's the optimum because you can use a Palolo worm fly. If not, the things you can use are like a gulp shrimp and cut off the side edges so it's just a little piece. If you're a bass fisherman and you have some plastic worms, cut those down, put them on a jig head. Other thing you could do is if you take a long shank hook, wrap thread around where the eye of the hook is and on the shank, super glue that, and then you could feed that onto a rubber worm, put some super glue on that, and that'll hold that worm there. You can't really cast it, but you can slow troll it, and that'll do that same effect. So there's ways to do it without having a fly or trying to hook up a Palolo worm. But anyways, thanks for watching. Like I said, this video is more for me for next year, but anyways, kind of interesting. And I'll get back to this in a couple of days and get some Palolo worm videos out. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video. Bye.